The mass casualty incident declared at the airport in New York was caused by a collision with a fire truck. 5 first responders were in the truck, 5 in critical condition. However, the fatalities have been unconfirmed. Ajay Jandal is joining me with latest details on this. What more can you tell us, Ajay?
Yes, it was a fire truck which basically was on the track, and that basically collided with the Canadian Airlines at the LaGuardia airport over there. As said that 2 people have been, they have been killed, and several others they are injured. They are shifted, but now the traffic is totally the flight operation is totally halted, and that was diverted to the other nearby airports, so that there is no mess, because it's a major incident which has happened over there. So that's why flight operation have been totally suspended, and flight were diverted into the other airport. But at the same time, inquiries is going on. Investigation agencies, airport authorities, they are on the ground to investigate it properly. That what exactly is the reason? Whether there is somebody in the truck who basically wanted to collude this this incident to happen over there at the airport for the casualties, mass casualties, or some other reason is there. That is a matter of investigation.
Right. Mr. Sanjay Lazar is an aviation expert, and he's joining me. Mr. Lazar, of course, a shocking incident there when, this, of course, now just to tell our viewers a little bit about LaGuardia Airport in New York, this is a major domestic gateway serving New York City. And this accident, of course, Mr. Lazar, in the middle of all of that, how do you see this?
Well, it's actually a very shocking and tragic incident. Got to hear about it 2 hours ago, and very, very disturbing visuals. As we know it, currently the United Airlines flight 2384 had 2 rejected aborted takeoffs and declared an emergency on the ground. The fire truck, they requested fire engines because there was a strange odor in the cabin making the people sick. Truck 1 was trying to cross runway 404 at LaGuardia to respond to UAL's call, and the fire truck had the permission, as per the ATC recordings that we're listening to. They had permission to cross, and then suddenly, the Air Canada Jazz CRJ 900 just, happened to collide with them, and that caused this huge, tragedy, so to speak. So far as we know, 2 are deceased and 70 are injured. Large group of Jewish Orthodox, travelers were on board, and they've been taken to a nearby hospital. Obviously, the runway is closed, the airport is closed for the time being. FAA and NTSB inspectors are on site. It's a huge catastrophe in the sense, when you listen to the ATC conversation, you understand how in protecting one emergency, another emergency took place. So they're so overworked in the ATC tower over there. And, there's been a slowdown going across the U.S. There's not been enough funding. There's been, TSA and airports have been affected across the United States. So perhaps this is one of those signs. But we'll know more once the investigation is completed. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Lazar, of course, this is big news coming in that we're sharing with our viewers. And we're talking, of course, about the collision. Now, Mr. Lazar, what are the, we're talking about the US. We're talking about a country which of course has many measures in place. How do you think this lapse even occurred in the first place? And what are the kind of how does this progress going forward when it comes to people who are responsible for this?
First of all, we need to understand, like you said, LaGuardia is one of the busiest domestic airports in the country, in the United States. They've just had a major overall upgrade, $8 billion upgrade there. They've got 3 terminals, they've got, adequate runways. There was no reason for something like this to have happened. The truck had permission. Now, the only reason NTSB will have to go into is how the Air Canada Jazz flight landed into that path, because truck 1 had clearance. So the only thing I can surmise is there was shortage of ATC staff, or, could have been a lapse at that end, or perhaps the Air Canada Jazz just, overshot and came into this path. That's the only two things I can think of. Let's not forget that the fire truck, as I originally thought, was not unauthorized. It was authorized. It had permission to cross over. 2 other aircraft were asked to fold till they crossed over. The fire truck was also responding to an earlier emergency of United Airlines, 2384. So, this is, and it's caused absolute chaos there. I can only, my prayers are just for the injured. That's all. First, let's, recover everybody and make sure that they're all safe and sound. And then I also understand 2, fire brigade personnel have been critically injured. So we hope that they are also, okay. So that's how it is.